What is this, some kind of Chinese hip hop? Smooth listening.
Huh?
I don't know what they're saying, but I like the way it sounds.
You know they have the large popular Chinese in Russia. That's where all that basically for. And they have them over here in Long Island too. Oh, because I know people call for the Chinese things a lot of times.
I could imagine they must have a huge listening group. That's probably why I get some kind of overflow sometimes. Yeah, sometimes I realize it. It catches up.
Yeah, I mean, the Chinese they ain't really stay just like everybody else. They buy houses and land like everybody else.
It's good stuff. Yeah. I'm ready when you are. Just- For the first time, I'm ready. So you give me the green light. I'm already streaming live on YouTube. And for the YouTube people watching, we'll be get started. We're gonna get started just in one moment. The views expressed in the previous program did not necessarily represent those of the staff, management, or owners of WGBB.
I messed up the
What's that?
give me a minute here. Something went wrong just now with my thing. It just cut right out of me.
Oh my God!
Everything is fine.
It's always something.
No, it's the music. It's the music. You want to come on without the music? It's fine with me.
I'm ready whenever you
Come
are.
on.
I'm on.
Yeah.
All right. Hello and welcome to the Real Estate Plate. As always, I'm your host Nick Sakals, coming to you live from the WGBB studios here in Merrick, New York. And as always, it's got to be something, right? But today, you know what? You see me, I'm casual today. I'm not wearing a suit. I'm not wearing a shirt. I'm in my eviction moratorium hoodie because I got to make sure that everybody realizes what's happening. And I tell you, the more I wear it, the more questions I get asked. And the more questions I get asked about the eviction moratorium, the more people get educated. Because I'm telling you something. There's so many people that are clueless about what's happening with that whole situation. And we'll get into it a little bit today. In addition to that, it looks like we got a whole bunch of newfangled equipment here. We got this new bright yellow microphone and this little hanging thing that's over here. So that's nice. So, I don't know all the technical type of reasons why this is here, but Trevor does, and he said it's going to sound great. And that's all that matters to me, as long as it sounds great.
Can you hear yourself better?
Maybe, I don't know. I got it a little lowered up. Actually, I can't hear myself right now. Let me see. Let's try another port. Maybe I could. Yeah, now I can hear myself better. And hopefully the people in the WGBB universe could hear it too. Before we get officially started, if you're listening on YouTube, smash a like, do that whole YouTube thing. It helps me with the algorithm. It helps me with the whole recognition thing throughout YouTube. Leave a comment, leave a question on the comment board. We got the live chat going right now. Make sure that you do that. Yeah, it's highly appreciated. Positive, negative stuff, it's all accepted. It's not all going to be rosy. Just hopefully we don't get any more trolls calling up the show this week and giving us a little bit of a headache. That being said, I am going to remind everybody that we're still doing that fundraiser for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. And I'm going to put the link right now in the comment board. And I'm going to put that again in the main comment chat board after the show is over. Anybody that wants to donate through there, it is highly appreciated, not only from me, obviously to all the children that are benefiting from all the research and all the funds that are being put in towards helping finding cures, helping finding therapies, finding solutions to something that's been a major problem for many people. And I'm telling you, I'm not going to stop. We're going to be running this fundraiser all the way through to June 10th. And not only that, in addition to running the fundraiser, I'm going to start actually asking everybody to do what they can. Obviously, not everybody could necessarily add any funds or anything like that. Like some people have their own financial issues, and that's completely understood. I'm never going to make people put themselves in a position to deprive themselves or their family in order to help a cause as worthy as it is. And this is definitely a worthy cause. But, you know, $1 from a lot of people could go a very long way. Here on YouTube, I got about 4,000 subscribers. If everybody put in $1 each, $4,000 could do a lot. On Facebook, we got about 39,000 followers, more or less. And that could definitely help a lot of people as well. You know, $1 from each of them. You know, obviously everybody could do whatever they can. I don't care if it's a quarter, a dime, whatever the case is. It's all helping, and it's all for a good cause. And again, I appreciate everything. And I'm going to put out something out as well, too. Obviously, everybody knows that this channel sometimes gets some kind of monetization from YouTube if it has high rankings and it has a lot of viewership. So the people that can't donate and they can't do anything as far as their donations are concerned, the least they could do is put a like on there, maybe leave a comment on there, and that would be really appreciated as well. And whatever revenue, whatever funds come in from the monetization on YouTube, on this this video and other videos that I'm be promoting for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, I am going to be donating whatever comes in ad revenue from there directly to the cause. So I'm putting my money where my mouth is, and I'm sure by the end of the day, I'm going to be putting a lot more than that as well in there. So this is not me just asking everybody to do whatever they can. I'm doing whatever I can myself. You know, this is something that I think all of us can relate to. I don't think there's a house out there, a family that hasn't had some kind of run-in with some type of cancer. And it's something that has always been a difficult thing for all of us. But that being said, look at this. I'm getting mail too here. There's no anthrax in here, right? All right, just making sure. I have to make sure because, you know, I just as many people that might like me, I probably have double that hate me. So I don't want any special packages coming to me. On that note, everybody that's been sending me letters, emails, messages directly, even some people that have sent me some type of package and things out there, they're really, really appreciated. I really, please you don't have to send anything to me. What I'm doing right now is my pleasure. I really love being on the airwaves and sharing guidance with everybody and doing everything I can to educate people in the whole real estate world in the best way I possibly can. And I'm going to continue doing this. So Anybody that wants to send something to me, I appreciate it. It's completely unnecessary, and I'd rather it goes to fundraising for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. If you do, definitely do that. And obviously, everybody that sent everything, I personally thank them, and I'm going to thank you again on the airwaves. That being said, what are we talking about today? There's a few things going on today. First of all, there was a great article that was written by The Real Deal. Everybody that doesn't know what The Real Deal is, it's a major media outlet for real estate throughout the U.S. It's a major one here in New York, major one for commercial real estate, and they did a highlighted focus on the eviction moratorium. And they actually interviewed our own Rosanna and Clarence, which people that are new to the show might want to go back to one of the old videos on the landlord side of the story, where we focus on their individual hardships that they're dealing with under these harsh mandates that are implied not only by the Fed, but also by our local and state government in regards to housing and in regards to the eviction moratorium. Rosanna's story is heartbreaking. And Rosanna, thank you. If you're listening to it right now, thank you so much for what you're doing. Your courage and your conviction towards talking about this and speaking about this, and your unwavering diligence as far as trying to get some results is to be commended. And at the same time, everybody really should know this woman is going through complete hardship. Not only is she going through a financial situation, she is going through a major psychological and personal and emotional situation as well, because she's dealing with an ailment that she may or may not come whole from. I'm not going to get into the details of it. That's for her to say and not for me. But she's not doing well, and it's awful. It's awful that she has to go through this scenario right now, being sick the way she is, and having these mandates and these other challenges holding her back from making herself healthy and whole. It's horrible. I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy, what she has to go through. You know, and people see me sometimes. My nerves are shot half the time with this whole situation, and I, sometimes tend to lose it. I sometimes tend to, say things the way they're supposed to be said. But I don't know how I'd react if I was in her position. She's probably handling this way better than I would have. Probably. Then again, it might come out a lot worse coming out of a angry man like myself with a grizzled going white beard and that kind of thing. But all joking aside, that's Rosanna, you're commended, and Clarence, he's been through all of the ringer himself, and we just got new videos from him as far as giving updates on what his current situation is. And you stay tuned and you see that video, and I promise you, you're gonna be horrified by what he's dealing with right now, what's left in his hands. So thank you to the two of you. Thank you, Clarence. Thank you, Rosanna. Thank you to all the other major advocates for landlord rights. Matthew Lyman, if you're listening, thank you. Rich Tyson, thank you. Thank you, everybody else. I know I'm missing a lot of people because there's so many of us out there that have been speaking up. But thank you all. We're probably going to be doing something very different this week. I'm going to put out a Zoom link invite through our Facebook messengers and through our platforms for landlord advocacy and the landlord groups in regards to our newest landlord roundtable, and I'm going to try to do this midweek and see if this works a little bit better for a lot of people. Because I know that the weekends have been getting rough, especially if you're doing midday. Now, especially for the people that are parents, they're running around with their kids going to soccer and softball and all this stuff, all other activities out there. And I want to be able to get the best audience we can. So I'm thinking maybe a 7 o'clock Wednesday night landlord roundtable will get a good portion of people involved. And if it works better, we'll continue to do going that way. I definitely will address that as well. And I'm going to put up the link in all our groups down the line. And I'm also going to do something a little bit different to show that I'm not completely biased. I'm going to go to the tenant groups and I'm going to ask to have a roundtable on there. And because I'd like to get both sides of the story, I'd like to get everybody's input in there. And I think it's the appropriate thing to do. And I'm sure there's a lot of tenants out there that are well within the rights of what they're doing. The ones that are genuinely hurt and that kind of thing. And I understand that. And let's hear them out too. And let's see what they think about the ones that are playing with the system and manipulating and causing them more problems. I love to hear this, and I'm going to put out the questions the way they should be appropriately. Obviously, I'm going to be even keel. I'm not going to go in with a bias. Even though I do have a bias, I will be as professional as possible when I'm conducting the roundtable. And I want to make sure that everybody gets their opportunity to talk. And then I'll let the public be the ones that be the judge of it. I think it's only appropriate. Anybody have any comments about that? Let me know. Driver seat, thank you for joining us today. Good evening to you. Real deal flip flops a lot. My tenant owes me 9 months rent. Yeah, the real deal does flip flop a lot. And they're going for the hot story. And they're always trying to look for an angle. And you're right about that. And they're no different than many of the other outlets out there. You know who doesn't flip flop a lot? Me. Whether you like my opinions or not, these are my opinions. And I'm very stubborn. I don't really change that easily unless you prove me wrong. But if you do prove me wrong, and I am saying something that is out of context and not correct, I'm big enough to accept it. But this is my ego. When I say something, I'm not going to open my mouth up unless I'm 100% sure about it. And the stuff I talk about, I can guarantee you, I'm pretty damn confident about what I'm talking about, especially when it comes to this eviction moratorium nonsense that we're dealing with. I'm going to put a question out there to anybody that's listening right now. And I'm going to ask everybody, what do you think? Are we going to get extended again? Because I'm 50-50 right now. I'm feeling that it will get extended again. But then again, one thing 2020 has proven to us, is whatever you expect the opposite. That's basically what's been happening. It's crazy. Driver's seat over here has a tenant that owes them 9 months rent. Other people have a year back rent. Other people have 2 years back rent. Here, I'll tell you a horror story that I'm involved in. I got a tenant that owes me 3.5 months rent. 3.5 years of months rent. And I was well into the process, well before this moratorium happened. The tenant's boyfriend, that's not even a tenant there, decided to move in and chase down our super and come into our control room and break up all our surveillance systems. By the way, I've said this before, make sure that you get your surveillance systems. This is how you prove the things. And what happens? We go to write up a report. The super goes to the police department. They say, we can't do a thing. What do you mean you can't do a thing? The guy just came in and destroyed private property. Well, after a whole debate and a whole argument, they finally wrote a report up. Guess what that report does? Zero. Does nothing for us. What are they going to wait for? For the super to get killed? Or are they going to wait for me to get attacked? Or are they going to wait for me to get attacked and attack back? And then I'm going to get locked up over it. What is it they want? Where's the end game? I don't get it. This tenant put a damn stripper pole in the middle of her apartment, and we can't do a damn thing about it. She's leaving her kid unwatched. Social services won't even get involved with her. That's how bad she is. And I don't want to get into I avoid talking about my own personal situations as far as what I'm dealing with, because it's not about me. It's about the public, everything everybody's dealing with in this whole wacky, insane real estate world that we're living in. But sometimes I got to say something. And this is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. I'm working on a property with my sister, because we're co-owners, and she's being run through the ringer. You got people from cultures that are very dismissive of women that are being abusive to her. Then I step in. Then it becomes contentious. And I can't even say a word. You can't do a thing. Again, I'm not going to get into my whole situation. Like I said, I've got multiple problems that I'm handling right now under this eviction moratorium. But the one thing I could tell you is this thing is, we talk about the coronavirus being a plague. These laws, these mandates are the damn plague. It's ridiculous. And this, not being insensitive to anybody that's been affected by corona. Absolutely not. I'm just saying what I'm saying. It's just, it's kind of ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. My clients know that I'm doing a radio show, and they're constantly texting and calling me right now. But they want what they want. And that's the theme. That's the theme thus far this year. Everybody wants what they want. And that's it. That is it. If you can't deliver, sorry, what have you done for me lately? So, to the other real estate professionals out there, everybody that's running on the road and doing all their business right now, I'll tell you something. You got to be on it. You got to be on your toes, and you got to do you got to do the things and take care of your clients, because right now, this is a fast-paced type of business, fast-paced type of environment. And if you're sitting there and you're working in archaic type of scenarios, you're not going to do so well. Driver's seat. As long as we have new waves of the virus, they will continue to extend it. Yeah, it looks like that's the case. It looks like that's the case. Like they'll continue to extend it. And if they do, what are they going to do to help us out? Enough already. we need some type of resolution. We need some kind of resolution. That's it. What we're dealing with right now is completely inappropriate. It's not even a word inappropriate for it. It is unjust. It's ridiculous. It's biased. It's class warfare. It's perceived class warfare. Should I keep going? Trevor, can you give me any more words to say? Adjectives? I know I got a few adjectives I could say, but we're gonna get a fine. Is Jeff up to paying for fines today?
I don't think so.
No? Because if I open my mouth unfiltered right now, what was it? About 10 grand per word? The fines?
Well, it would have been nice if we were still over there in Babylon. Because we used to have a dumb switch. We don't have it here. So
Don't say that.
I can't.
Don't let the public know that.
I can't dump.
But what I'm saying is, what is it, about $10,000 per fine?
I don't know exactly, but I know it's a good amount.
It's a good chunk.
Josephine will have a heart attack. She have to pay it.
I'll tell you something. I could bust out about $100,000 worth of fines in just one sentence. So I'm gonna avoid doing that. This honestly, it's all joking aside. I've reached my limit of tolerance and trying to understand the logic, because the only logic I could understand right now, that this whole environment that's been created is all due to either votes or special interests, or a combination of the two. Because you can't just isolate one group and just say, sorry, you're out of luck. By the way, how's everybody doing trying to get some of those funds for that have been allocated to New York for rent relief? How's everybody doing with that? Cuomo's got his hands full. What am I supposed to say anymore? When the virus hit, Governor Cuomo shut down many businesses. Many didn't reopen. However, Cuomo allowed liquor stores to operate. Why? He collects tax money from them. It's funny you said that, driver's seat. It's really, really funny that you said that. Because I'll put. You want to talk about liquor? How about Lotto? Is that essential? Do we have to have lines of people paying for buying lottery tickets while we're in a pandemic? No, but guess who gets revenue from that? It's the state. Everybody knows I'm a smoker. Here you go. This is my pack of cigarettes. This pack of cigarettes, if you're in the city, costs you about $13, $14. If you're Long Island, I get a discount. I get a break because I don't live in the city. I pay about $10 for the pack. Okay? Do you know that the majority of the cost of this is taxes? In any other society, in another state, you're only going to be paying $3 to $4 a pack, maybe $5. But we here in New York have the luxury. We have the luxury of paying more than double than anybody else. And I'll tell you something else. Here's another little crazy little thing about that. Everybody's worried about, you know what? You got to be safe. The coronavirus is going to kill you. I don't know what they're going to tell us next. Okay? And I'm not against being safe. I'm not against, doing the right thing here. Here's my mask, social distancing. I'll do everything you ask me for. But here's the hypocritical thing. They say that cigarettes kill you, right? They're bad for you. They cause cancer. And we care about the public. We care if you die. Really? Because if you really care about us dying, why are these legal? Why can't you go into any convenience store and any gas station and pick up a pack? I picked up this damn habit when I was 12 years old. Okay? Maybe it was a different world back then. It was more acceptable, whatever the case is. Maybe I looked like an overgrown goon and people would sell me cigarettes without a problem. And that's a whole other issue in itself. But you tell me why these are legal and other things are not. I've been trying to kick this damn habit for I don't know how long, and I'm still trying to kick it. And eventually I will. Or it'll kick me. It's either I'm going to win or it's going to win. And there's only one result. I won't be around. So that's why I'm trying to do what I can while I'm still not plagued with all these different ailments that it will cause me. And who knows what the effects are 20, 30 years down the line, even when I do quit, that I'll be dealing with. I'm sure the damage is already done to me. I'm 44 years old. Smoking till 12. You do the math. From 12. 32 damn years. And I'll take accountability on that. Well, as I got older, I understood that this is no good for me. Doesn't help that I got addicted to these damn things. But at the same time, I started to understand. But yet, the government continues to sell these cigarettes. Why? Is the tobacco industry that big of a monster, that big of a business that they need to sustain? Otherwise, the economy is going to plummet. No. The reason is because they tax these things through the moon. Were these things essential during our quarantine and lockdown? Maybe to a smoker like myself that we went through damn withdrawals of not having them, especially under high stress situations. But at the same time, if they took them away completely during that time and we had no choice, maybe it would have stopped. It would have gotten a lot less of us to continue smoking at that point. Maybe that would have been the fix to get people to stop smoking. But they don't care. They don't care. The same way, like you mentioned, driver's seat, that the liquor stores will continue to be open. The same way that you had the lottery tickets still being sold, the damn scratch offs being sold. Are those essential? No, we're going to take your money. That's what's essential. And I'll tell you something. Yeah, you get lottery winners every so often. You get somebody that does a scratch off, they win or whatever the case is. But you know how many losers you have to get that one winner? It's just like when you go to a casino. The house never loses. They got a built-in fail safe. They know that they're going to, at the end of the day, they're going to make money from it. So they continue doing it. But they tell the guy with the restaurant, you got to close your doors. They tell the small businesses, you got to close your doors. You're not even allowed to do takeout service. At one point, we went through that. Well, because some of these places, they weren't equipped to do takeout service. They were big restaurants. So by telling them you can't have seating in there whatsoever, they basically clipped their wings. And by the time they figured out how to get a delivery type of service set up, they already took a nosedive on the losses. But boo-hoo. We're not going to cry. Who cares about them? Who cares about them? Who cares about the landlords? Who cares about the real estate agents out there that weren't able to properly work? That caused this supply and demand, by the way, this whole supply and demand situation, because of those mandates they put in there, caused this artificially. And now the people that are crying that it's a seller's market and they can't find a house and there's no supply out there, guess who you're going to point to again? It's not me. If it was up to me, I'd tell everybody, sell your house. There's buyers out there. Where are you going to move to? Here's the problem. Here's the issue. Quite a dilemma. Quite a the driver's seat. You just triggered me again. I don't know how you pulled that off. You really did. You know, you that liquor store comment really hit and resonated with me, because that's something that I've been thinking for the past few months. How do they determine what is essential, what is not essential, what is being responsible, not responsible, what's good for the public, what's bad for the public? These are the big talking heads that are basically coming up with these cockamamie solutions. I could say that, right? That's not a curse word, right? All right. Just making sure, double checking. I can't get rent from my July employed 36 my fully employed $86,000 a year board ed employee, but I have to provide heat, hot water, and now the city is ordering landlords to have a gas line inspection every 2 years. Of course they are. Driver's seat, of course they are. How are they going to justify themselves? What are they going to do to that board of ed person after this eviction moratorium is over with? The one positive thing that you have on your side, driver's ed, and I'll tell you this much, is because they work on the books, they work for the city, and if they're pulling some kind of stunt right now, you'll be able to get a judgment on them. And if you get a judgment on them, you'll eventually be able to get a lien and a garnishment on them, and they're going to love that. It doesn't make you better initially, but after a million years, you're probably going to get your money back. At least you have that. Be happy that they actually have a job like that. What do you do with that person that's undocumented, that's working off the books for $1,000 a week, cash, and once they're out of your apartment, they disappear because they don't even have a social security number? What do you do with that? And they exist. They exist. She moved out owing me, so now I have to after her. All right, so at least you got your apartment back right now. Small victory. I know that's not very, very helpful, and it's not reassuring, but I promise you that it is a small victory. You do what you got to do. You get a hold of that landlord, your lawyer. You make sure you go get a super judgment after it. I don't know what you're going to have to do, get a collection agency, whatever, but you teach that tenant a lesson for what they did to you. Because this is ridiculous. If you're still watching and you can comment back, driver's seat, let me know the reason why they got up and left. Were they trying to pretend that there was something wrong with the apartment? Was there actually something wrong with the apartment? Or was it just because they just didn't feel like paying? What was the reason? If you're listening, comment back and let me know. I'm sure the public would love to hear that. By the way, anybody listening right now, if you haven't, click that like button. Please click that like button. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. Again, it's highly appreciated by myself, but at the same time, it's highly appreciated by the Google algorithm that basically helps other people discover us. This has been, to say the least, a challenging time period. Housing providers, landlords have been run through the ringer. It's an awful experience. I don't know if any other sector of the economy, any other type of business, any type of other workforce out there, if they were subjugated and had to endure these type of mandates and rules and stripping of your rights. And don't get this confused. We are getting our rights stripped from us. The government, the state, has no right to interfere with contractual obligations that are already in place. And that's what they're doing because that lease is a contractual obligation between two parties. And they got in the middle, interfered, and are causing this whole entire nightmare. She had no complaints. The judge kept giving her more time. She was ordered to move out at the end of January 2020, but didn't. And COVID came around. That sounds about right. That sounds about right. It does. I'm not saying it is right. Oh, and by the way, the judge, here's another thing, Jarvis just wrote. The judge never asked to see the lease because they're throwing everything out the window. They're making it impossible. Well, they already stopped late fees. They already stopped penalties. You're not allowed to charge anything of that like. This is getting insane. It really is. And I'm not saying this so people can feel sorry or feel bad for landlords and home providers, housing providers, property owners, anything you want to call them. I'm not saying this so you could feel bad for them. I'm just making this clear to the public so they know that if this could happen to this sector, it could happen to any other sector out there. You don't believe it? You just wait. History has a way of repeating itself. I promise you. Right now, this is the flavor of the month. This is what they're going after. New York State, especially, was never a friend to housing providers. Was never a friend to the lawyers, to the landlords. Never. And now they're just taking advantage of the opportunity. And it's almost like you see somebody drowning, and instead of putting your hand out there to try to help pull them in and pull them out, instead of doing that, you're putting your foot on their head and trying to put them in deeper into that pool of water. That's what's happening. It's disgusting. It's isolating a certain sector. And I don't know how else to put it. And the fact that they're not even asking for the leases and they're not even reviewing any of that stuff, that in itself is just unbelievable. Unbelievable. Watch the video I'm going to put up from Clarence Hammer. See how that tenant he had left his apartment. Some people could be animals. Maybe they just like living like animals. But that's an insult to the animals. Because there's a lot of animals that are cleaner than some of these people that leave the places in a mess. I'm going to say something. It's one thing for somebody to be a complete slob and leave a place disgusting just because that's the way they live. And believe me, I've had plenty of that. If you want, go back to my no respect video that I put together while I was at a clean out in Jamaica and how they left the apartment. You could see how that is. And that's one thing in itself. But it's another thing when they do intentional damage. Somebody that pulls out a pipe or wires or pulls all the knobs off of an appliance or breaks the handles or specifically sticks things into the hardwood floors and tries to pick up the planks, that's not right. That's intentional. It's destructive. And it's completely immoral that the fact, now I'm yelling. Am I raising my voice too much? It's completely biased by the government allowing this to happen. You go tell the supermarkets to go and give out food for free to everybody. You go tell the restaurants, you continue to work, you continue to make meals, hand out those meals, and maybe one day we'll pay you. I want to see that happen. Do I sound upset right now? Absolutely. I'm really upset. And I'm on fire right now. I'm completely on fire right now. Why? Because my rights are being trampled on a daily basis. The same way many other people's rights are being trampled on a daily basis. And again, don't feel bad for us. Feel bad that righteousness goes out the window anymore now in modern society. Knowing the difference between right and wrong means nothing anymore. Some guys in Washington or some guys in Albany or some guys over in the mayor's mansion are sitting and deciding what's right and wrong. When we all know clearly well what's right and wrong. But you keep manipulating the system. You keep doing this to everybody. And let's see. Let's see what happens. Just got another message by Joseph Botone. I had a guy put a meat cleaver through the bottom of the sink. See? This is this kind of stuff that I'm talking about. Was that by accident? Was that wear and tear? Was that just maybe because the person was a slob? No. The person was a damn animal and decided to take a meat cleaver to the bottom of the sink. That's a criminal. You destroyed somebody's property. If I go to a city building and I take a meat cleaver to the bottom of their, public sinks, you know what they're going to do to me? They're going to arrest me, lock me up, and make an example out of me. But for some reason, when you do that to somebody's private home, that's okay. Go ahead. Go ahead. Do it. Go ahead. No problem. Driver's seat. My friend's apartment was trashed by the outgoing tenant. She put out the garbage the tenant left behind, and the tenant reported her to the police. You see? A lot of times these things happen because they get trapped. And I've said this before, and I'm going to say this again, so listen very carefully right now. Anybody that's listening for the first time and hasn't heard this from me, or even if you have heard this from me in the past before, make it stick in your mind. If somebody is leaving your apartment, you make sure that you document it. You make sure that you have a written notice. I know that's not always possible. But you do the best of having some kind of written notice, and if not written notice, you try to document it either by video, by tape or whatever the case is, and you make sure when they give you the keys back, they sign a key release to you to make sure that they can't turn around and say that they never moved out, because that happens all the time. And this is one of the oldest tricks in the book. They say they're going to get out, whatever. They leave a whole bunch of crap behind. You think it's garbage. You start throwing out the garbage. And all of a sudden they come back and say, they locked me out of my apartment. I have an active lease. Now it's up to you to prove it. Now it's up to you to prove your innocence. And now it's going to get ugly. I promise you, it's going to get ugly. So do yourself a favor. Document, document, document. Do it. You won't be. You could only regret not doing it. Look at this. I started off the show. I was relaxed. I thought I was going to come in with a nice, chill type of show, giving some housing updates, talking about how supply and demand is balanced. And what happens? I get triggered. It's easy for me to get triggered, especially when it's something that hits home like this. And I'm going to put this out there for anybody that wasn't listening a little earlier, that maybe a tenant. I'm going to put a roundtable together for you guys as well. I'm going to give you guys the opportunity to come and speak, so that I show everybody I'm not biased. I'm not doing this to make you look like villains, because there's a lot of good tenants out there. And I'll tell you something. It's a smaller fraction of ones that are doing the wrong thing than the ones that try to do the right thing. There is. Let's not be, ridiculous and say that 100% of them are demons or whatever the case is. It's true. But I would love to have some tenants address what their peers, the other tenants are doing, and how they feel about that. The fact that they're making their lives as renters, as tenants, far more difficult. Because I promise you this, that those tenants out there that are doing the wrong thing, that are manipulating the system, they're going to be the reason why many good-hearted, doing the right thing type of tenants are going to have a tougher time down the road. Why? Because you're going to have landlords that are so much more on guard. They're going to put their walls up and not going to trust anybody. That whole, don't worry, I trust you. You look like a nice guy. You look like a nice woman. I'm going to take a shot and put you into my rental. That's out the window. And anybody that takes that approach is a masochist, because they're only looking for torture by doing that. But that's out the window. That your credit score is a little low. Yeah, I understand that maybe you're going through a divorce. Your wife destroyed your credit. Your husband destroyed your credit. Whatever the case is, where sometimes you give them opportunity, maybe get an extra rent in order to have a bigger deposit, to be a safeguard, which you can't do anymore here in New York. You can't take more than 1 month rent. Let's give this person a shot. I've been like them. I get it. I understand. That's going to go out the window too. I promise you. Right now, this whole situation has caused such an animosity between the entire housing market of landlords and tenants out there. And unwarranted animosity, artificially caused animosity. Why? Why? Sorry, I'm to disappoint, Florin. Today I was supposed to be casual. I didn't wear a shirt today. I promise you next week I'm going to wear a shirt just for you. If you got a request for what the color is going to be, maybe I could accommodate. It's upsetting. It really is. Anybody think differently than me? Hey, maybe you think I'm out of my mind. Maybe you think I'm completely wrong. Please educate me, enlighten me, put me on the right path. I'm open minded, I promise you. If you tell me something reasonable out there and tell me that I got the whole scenario wrong, help me. Thank you, Joseph, for agreeing with me. Thank you. And you know what? There's a lot of other people that agree with us too. They are. And slowly but surely, we're all starting to unite and we're all starting to find a common place to be able to organize. And I'm telling you this, I'm not a fan of organizing unions or any of that kind of a thing. Many, many years ago, when they were organizing unions, I thought it was a very needed thing. It was a very necessary thing to be able to keep a strong workforce together. And it, in many cases, has fallen apart in certain areas, in certain businesses, certain sectors. But right now, we need something, maybe not a union, but we need some type of national platform of landlords, a group of voices unified to be able to get some results, because that's the only way things will happen. Strength in numbers. Joseph wrote, they are going to see higher rents. Well, in some cases they will. And in states that are not regulated, such as here in New York, because here in New York, we got restrictions. You can't raise rents on any type of apartment or any type of rental. We got other restrictions to deal with. But let's say we didn't have that. In other states, I promise you that good, hardworking tenants that are doing the right thing are going to pay for no reason. Why? Because they're going to pay for the other people's negligence, unlawfulness. And I'll tell you something else. Here's another thing that's funny. A lot of these tenants, up until this moratorium, were decent tenants. They were paying. They weren't causing any problem. It's once they got free reign from the government that say, you know what? Here's my opportunity. I'm going to save as much money as I can, and I'm going to head for the high hills before they could catch me. And in some cases, they're going to get away with it. And even the ones that have papers, they have social security numbers, they're the ones that you can go after for a judgment, they're going to try to settle. At the end of the day, a lot of landlords are going to just say, take whatever they can, try to make themselves as whole as possible. Otherwise, they're going to wait forever and a day to get their back rent from. And sometimes time costs more than money, because they need that money right now to sustain themselves and keep their buildings going. Flora and Pluto, you need to unite to make a lobby to change the law. Yes, we do. And that's kind of what I'm indicating right now. That's exactly what we need to do. We need to figure out a way how to get this done. We need a lot more people and a lot more sophisticated people with a lot more connections than big mouths like me that are yelling into a microphone over the airwaves and over the YouTube world and over the Facebook world, trying to get as many people to hear from us. We need more of that out there. And we also need people with heavy connections to be able to help us. It's the only way it's going to happen. Driver's seat, they're chipping away at unregulated buildings. Those empty stores will have to register within the city. Yes, they will. Yes, they will. This has been the plan for many, many years. This is what they've been trying to accomplish. And if we don't put our foot down, if we don't resist at this moment, it's going to happen. And before we know it, it's going to be the point of no return. If we're not there already, we might be at the point of no return right now and not even realize it ourselves. We're getting close to the end of the show. So I'm going to thank everybody for listening to my rant over the past, I don't know how many minutes, of kind of giving another aspect and insight to what is happening. If you haven't done so already, please click the like button, subscribe to the channel. Like I said, it really, really helps the algorithm. Hi, Evelyn. It does help the algorithm dramatically. And like I said, any type of monetization that comes from this video, from YouTube, from the ads, from whatever, I'm going to donate right back to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. If you're just jumping in, I have a link all the way at the beginning of the chat, taking you to our fundraiser page. Do whatever you can. If you put something in through the super chat, I'll donate that right back as well. I'm just looking to do something good, in this world that so much bad is being done to us. Just because we're suffering doesn't mean that people that are suffering from leukemia and lymphoma should be hurt as well. But this is what's happening. Driver's seat, reach out to the mayoral hopefuls like Ray McGuire. We're in the process of doing everything we can right now to try to get an advocate for us somewhere in the higher positions. But it looks like Trevor is booting me off. So I'm going to say good night. Au revoir. Yasu. Kalinichta. Buenos dias. Whatever you want to say. Have a great week. Make a lot of money in real estate. And I'll be back with you again Monday. Just like every Monday with the real estate plate, 6 to 7 p.m. Thanks for listening.
This is WGBB AM 1240 and W240 TFFM 95.9 Newport, New York.
The following message is brought to you by Goodwill and
Did I lose it too much?
The inherent right to work is one of the elemental privileges of a free